Hello and welcome back to Read Becca for my weekly catch up on everything I've read, everything that I'm currently reading, and everything I'm looking forward to reading, and also Ripley's dinner over here. I have had a non-stop week. I just am a little late getting to this video for the week because I returned my house guests to the airport just now, and so I'm ready to catch up with you all here on BookTube. So I didn't do too much reading because of that, but I did have a little bit of time here and there, mainly in the mornings, thanks to jet lag. So I did some reading and finished a couple things because of Shorty September. Shorties were great for reading in the mornings, and I did finish up one long-term thing, and that is really exciting too. So let's start with the shorties. I don't have tons to say about them, but this is The Dragon Hoard by Kenneth Lee first up. This was a subscriber suggestion-ish for my yearly TBR. So thank you very much for suggesting the word dragon to inspire my pick, because I picked this book and put it on my yearly TBR, and now it is done and off. And I love this nice classic cover with the dragon laying on top of its pile of Hoard. It's gold. And this one is so fun because it is very much traditional quest fantasy. I knew that going in, but it's also really a satire of that. So we have the kind of spurned Maleficent type who is like an enchantress, and this kingdom where a king and his children live, his son Prince Jaslith and his daughter Princess Goodness, are then cursed by the enchantress, and the prince transforms into a raven for a short period every day, and he doesn't know when it will be, and the princess is true to her name, overly good. And so she goes to the point of silliness, like she invites all of the animals in to eat everything in the castle and things like that, over the top. And so Jaslith goes out on a quest to try and make things better and improve his life, and like, how can we get around this and survive, basically. So he winds up on this quest for the Dragon Hoard eventually. But it is very over the top, a little bit goofy, but I enjoyed it because as a long-term, fantasy reader, I really liked the play on all of the sort of quest tropes where they run into snags along the way and people trying to trick them and how they get over that. Some of the things really drew my memory back to old folklore and fairy tales, actually. Things like where they're having to go through certain challenges, jump through different hoops in order to complete a quest from a kingdom they're traveling through, that sort of thing. And that really, it reminds me of some fairy tales that I have read long ago and loved. So I just had a great time with this. This was the perfect book to be able to just pick it up for 15 or 20 pages in the morning when I was waking up and like get some reading in and have a laugh. Great time. So I am so glad I got to this book. The second one is Ken Follett's Notre-Dame, and this is a short history of the meaning of cathedrals. And I don't know that it was true to the subtitle, but it was true to the main title, talking us through Notre-Dame at different points in history. And this is a short, very short, nonfiction work that Follett wrote inspired by the fire at Notre-Dame. And so the proceeds of this little book were going toward rebuilding funds. So I liked that aspect, that it talked about the fire having happened at Notre-Dame recently, I think 2019. I should know because I just read this, but my brain is not all here. So it talked through that, but then it jumped back and talked through all of these major moments in Notre-Dame's history, damages that happened to it in the past and how they rebuilt, things like the Hunchback of Notre-Dame and what that meant for its history. And obviously Follett has this immense love for cathedrals, so the wonder for the cathedral really does come through here. So I just enjoyed this kind of bite-sized little glimpse into the history of a cathedral and the importance it has had to the people, not just there surrounding it, but throughout the world, really. And so this was a great, like, palate cleansing nonfiction. I really love that short, sharp nonfiction. So another great one. And then finally, we have Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. I finally finished. I had this in progress since Misery May. So I think nearly half the year. I'm glad to have finished it, but I enjoyed this so much. I had read this before, and in the time that I read it before, I very much read it just purely for the plot, and I didn't really take more than that out of it. And I thought it was great just for the plot. Poor Tess has a really hard life. She is sort of from this underwhelming family, the Derbyfields, who then find out they have a connection, possibly, to these entitled people, the D'Urbervilles, and so they send her off to go live with the D'Urbervilles, and sort of make their name a bit, and things immediately start going wrong as soon as they try to set out for their title. But what I didn't realize that first time I read it is, like, Thomas Hardy is kind of woke AF. This is such a strange book because he's a man writing in this time, and he's completely empathetic to the plight of women in this situation. We are going through the situation of Tess being ruined, as for, you know, the reasons that ruin a woman but not a man, and how the injustice of sexism existed in societal roles is something that he absolutely nails home. And I did not pick it up on that as much in my first reading, or at all, I don't think. And so reading through it now, I'm like, wow, Hardy had so much foresight and perspective that fits right with values today, that he was ahead of his time immensely. I think so many of these things were just social norms. And even heartbreakingly, he is being critical of the ways that women allowed this to happen to other women. There is this moment where Tess talks to her mother, and she's kind of like, Mom, I can't believe you didn't warn me. Why didn't you tell me what could happen and what the risks were to this situation that I was being put in? And her mom kind of admits that, you know, well, she sort of had self-interest, and she just thought, like, Tess would know and understand and figure it out, or that it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And instead, she goes from a progression of being ruined to things continually getting worse and worse and worse, until at the end we're in this very heightened situation that's intensely tragic. This is definitely a tragedy coming in. You should know that. It is so gutting to read her slow progression from this very hopeful, very positive girl, and she says that multiple times. She's like, I was just a child when this all started, and it is heartbreaking to read her plight. The writing is also very, very, like, pastoral is the word I want to use. I don't know if that's the right descriptor, because not a lot of this is taking part, like, outdoors, but there is such great natural depictions and nature scenery described to the point that it's poetic. And at one point, Tess is a dairymaid, and I think those sections probably do count as pastoral. But just watching Tess's life unravel a bit and go downhill through this slow sequence of tragedies for her that are really in no way her fault. They are societal wrongdoings. To see Hardy commentate on that, and it's such a cutting commentary that is, I have to imagine, something that people maybe were not actually understanding at the time, and they just read it for the salacious drama of this. I would love to know what people and critics were saying about this story at the time that it was written, because it is just so intriguing to know that he was aware of and critical of these things going on socioculturally. So I'm rambling on, but I absolutely love this. This was a total 5-star read. I'm so thankful for Misery May having gotten me to pick this up. It was another book from my physical TBR this year as well. I was really hoping to get in a reread, and it really was that push from Misery May to get to it. So very, very happy to have read Tess of the D'Urbervilles. So that was a beautiful book, but so sad. Then I started some things. I started a thing. I started The Empress of Forever, barely at the end of Space Opera September after I finished Tess. So I have another long book going on, 500 pages or over, another tome. My other two that I still have ongoing are Distant Gardens and Paladin of Souls, slowly but surely, and I have not started an orc book. It is October 1st, but I want to start an Orctober book from my TBR, and that will probably happen tonight. So I haven't decided which one I want to start with, but that will definitely be going on. So I think that's it for books. Hopefully I will get a slightly more brain-filled update next week. I am really cooked. It has been so hot here, and we have been outside so much, out doing stuff, fun things all around, amazing restaurants. I wish I had taken pictures of the food. I did not take any pictures of food, but man, oh man, we had pretty much a brunch meal and a dinner meal out at restaurants every day, and had amazing stuff. Like, mostly restaurants I had either known and loved before, or stuff I hadn't tried before but had very strong recommendations for, and we had 0 duds. We got really lucky getting in with or without reservations at a lot of places, despite many places being very busy. And we got out to a ton of events. I had so much fun at all of the different events that we went to, despite the heat. As I said, it was between 85 and low 90s the whole time this week, which is very hot for end of September. So we stuck it out through the heat and managed, but it was wonderful. So that is what has been going on with my week. As I said, it has been nonstop. I will attempt to put in some footage without putting too much, giving you like 20 minutes of footage of the stuff we did, just so you can get a glimpse of the good times that I've been having this week, keeping me busy. I also do want to share one thing that's bookish that I got. We, today, this morning, ran around and went to this little old town area that has antiques markets, and I got a very cool book. I got The Wind and the Willows. This is illustrated by Michael Haig, and obviously the book is by Kenneth Graham. But I have not seen this edition before. It's in very good condition, and I got it for $3. And my guests knew better than to allow me to go in anywhere that had books, but this one antique store had a good section of books. And so I very quickly went through. I really tried not to linger too much. But I immediately spotted this one and snagged it off because it has beautiful full color illustrations all throughout the book. So this is massively illustrated, and it looks just wonderful. So I already have an illustrated Wind in the Willows, but this is a different illustrator. This is much more illustrated. So I'm very excited to have found this, despite my book buying a ban, or book browsing ban on this trip. There was a bookstore. I almost went in, but I was like, I convinced them that we should not go to the bookstore because we would be there the whole day. So that is it for my bookish week this week. I am going to, I think, wind down a little bit, eat, and then do some reading, because I'm so looking forward to that. I also am really looking forward to catching up on all the booktube videos from everyone that I have gotten really behind on. So I'm looking forward to seeing your faces again on booktube, because I have had no time at all to watch videos really this week. So looking forward to getting back into booktube community stuff and seeing what's going on with all my booktubey friends. So that is it for me today, and hopefully you will see some fun footage of where I was at this week. Thank you so very much for watching.